this is my low water intake here. Just gonna go through the details of the setup and steps that I took to get here. So just starting out right away, this is a 1/2 inch NPT. I drilled into the lower unit. It was a very bit sketchy process just because the right hand side of the hole so much thinner than the left hand side, which makes for drilling with a standard twist drill very difficult. I actually used the twist drill, shaped the hole, then came back with a carbide burr and took out the meat. I'll put up a picture of that probably in the side of the video just so you can see what I mean. That goes into a full flow AN 10. This is a 60 degree, and you can see there it's a 60 degree with a swivel. That just goes down to a AN 10 bung welded onto a bit of 1 1/4 inch stainless pipe. And this was my original setup. The reason all the welds look a little bit suspect is that this is what I started with. It was just a fitting stuck into this, welded, and there was enough gaps and porosity there, and the stainless casting kind of welded like garbage. So that is why it looks a little bit weird. There's a weld here and a weld there. It's just because it was 2 different steps. I did check it, it's watertight. I put a little pressure on it just to be sure I wasn't, sucking air through an opening there. Also did the whole system like that, just with very, very minimal pressure, but coming from a garden hose, just hooked it right up to the end of the hose here and just checked, made sure I wasn't going to be losing air or sucking air somewhere into introducing it into the system, causing priming issues. So this down here, it's just a pipe bracket, a pipe hanger, and then here, those are just some thin strips of stainless steel that I just tack welded them in on each end and then ground flush. So it's just like a leaf grate. Probably wouldn't be the best thing if you run like really vegetation heavy lakes because, vegetation tends to be on the surface, not so much down where a traditional lower unit screen might be. So there's that. And then the hose is just long enough that I can kick it up on the kickstand. So I won't do that now, but just made it long enough to do that so that I could. I was worried that going that long may cause priming issues because, when you put the motor in dry, everything's got air in it, and then you've got all that air up above the water line in that pipe. You can see kind of where my water line is when I'm floating, just, normally, not on plane. So that's kind of the worry, obviously, but it has no issue priming whatsoever. So I can even prime the with the jack plate pretty much all the way up. I took a video of it trimmed all the way up in my last pinhole, and I was priming with about this much of the plate sticking out. So there's that aspect of it, and then kind of onto, let's see here, sealing up of the holes. So the intake grates there, those are just a chunk of aluminum that I put a little rubber adhesive backer on. It's just like sticky rubber that comes on a roll. You can get it on Amazon. I'll show you the one. This is what I used. It's just like neoprene rubber. Stuck it on there. I use it for up front, actually, along the top rails of the boat. So there is that. And then let's see here, see if I'm missing anything. Down underneath, there are multiple holes, drain holes for the pump housing. There's one here, and then one here. You can see exactly what I did. It is an 832 screw. It barely threads. It's like almost the same exact diameter. And then I just put some goop on it. Come winter, I will have to obviously drain this. I live in Minnesota. It will freeze, and I don't want to destroy it. So what I'm going to do is make all of these. I'll probably drill this out to like a 1024, 1030, whatever that one is, 1032. I think so, 1032. Tap it, and then I can actually have a thread that will just hold the screw, and I won't need any glue. So eventually I'll go for that. This one obviously just pop it, just crack it open, and it'll just drain all the water out. So don't even need to fully remove it, just loosen it. When you're drilling, the main thing is, aside from you don't want to go too far back, you'll end up in the gear case. Too far forward, you'll end up in the exhaust. So you have a fine line. I scribed it out. I did a big Sharpie and then actually used scribe lines. But a tip, or at least what I did, is stuck a thin screwdriver through both of these holes, and then that can help you visualize inside the lower where you have. So essentially, if you stay between those two screw holes, just simply relocate those up to here, you can't go wrong. You could go severely wrong doing the drilling, but I would recommend not going with the correct tap size. So for or correct drill size, for a 1/2 inch MPT, you're supposed to use a 23/32. Hardware store didn't have that, and I got lucky on that matter because I used an 11/16. And due to the way that this is very much thicker on this left-hand shoulder, there's a huge bump out in the casting inside there. And then the right side is about this thick right here. It's like same thickness as this, maybe like 3/16 or so. So the drill bit really wants to walk towards the skinny side, and then it's like biting and jamming on the flutes on the left-hand side as they, come around the bottom. So I would not say, if you're not like not experienced, or maybe have some tools like a die grinder, and here I did it with a hand drill and a bench vise, just for your knowledge. So it can be done, and it's a lot of people have done it before. It's not anything new. So although on this Johnson 25, I have yet to see a lot of information, details even on the old forums, I can't really find a whole lot about it. So this is a J25 TE-SSD, and it's a 2000 Johnson 25. I think the same exact details would basically apply from anything from like the 80s all the way through when they stopped making outboards, two-stroke outboards. Well, I guess Johnson just stopped, all right. Evinrude kept going, but there's, I think, all of the 20 through 30 horsepower lower units, this should apply, because I think they are all the same, but don't hold me to that. I'm not an expert. Then I'll show down here on this, if you look at the Bob's nose cone, or Bob's Machine Shop, the nose cone, it is not scooped at all. And I read in a few places that you don't want any scoopage to your pickup down here, or much, because if you're going along fast, a boat like this, 30 mile an hour, so it may not apply so strongly to a John boat. That may be more for speedboats that are using this because they have such high surfacing props. I could see at 30 mile an hour making a fair bit of pressure. Like if I just took a 90-degree elbow and just stuck it on here, I have no idea how much pressure that would make, but I could see at higher speeds it could make a lot of pressure. So you don't want a lot of pressure in your hose, according to people more knowledgeable than me. So I just barely took the outer edge of the elbow, left that on, and then the negative transom angle is just kind of doing the rest. So that's that. I did use originally, I may put up a video, I used some much more flexible hose. It was this stuff right here, very floppy. It's like silicone braided hose. And then I didn't like how much I couldn't control it just with the structure of the hose itself. And I also just ran it straight off just a regular NPT fitting right out of the lower. I didn't even have a barb on it. So it was more for testing purposes to see, like, will it prime? Because that was honestly one of my bigger worries. I didn't want to have an electric pump involved and all that kind of stuff. So I just needed my original setup to basically seal and be airtight, and then just went from there. So this is AN10, and all of the fittings are just AN10, full flow elbow. And the reasoning kind of behind all of why I went with this is if you look at some of my previous videos, I've mentioned these, talked about shallow scoops. This is actually the other side. I ran out of height where I could continue to use these reliably without risking running dry, and that was just because I am at the point now where the tip of the prop, the tip of the bullet, actually is just looking at it here, get something straight under the boat. So the tip of the lower unit is now basically right just above the top of the water line, or just above the water line. And the issue with that is you don't get that riding up action. And I think I'm not even all the way up on my plate here. Close, but I don't think so, because I just did this the other day and it was just above it. So, oh, there you go. I think that's close to level. You get the idea. So the problem that causes, you don't get that scoop action because there's nothing sliding up the lower unit to even grab onto. It's all going under. So I ran out of height where I could go higher, and then when you run shallow water, the problem is the boat rides higher in shallow water. It just can't squeeze out the sides anymore, so the boat sits up, and before you know it, you're cruising along and you think you're all right, and then you hit a shallow section and you might ride higher. You'll hear the RPMs come up. I was never in a spot where it did it unexpectedly, but it just got old. And then the issue is once you lose prime and you're that high, you basically have to come to a complete stop, restart the motor, and then so on. So obviously not ideal, like if you're spending a lot of time in that kind of a place. So that's why I went with this setup and decided to finally do it. I was scared of the idea initially. I thought there were a lot of reasons not to do it, but looking back, I should have done this 2 years ago. So it just makes a lot more sense for what I do. But I did make this. Obviously, I can just undo these 2 bolts. The pipe slides up and down. I just guessed. I don't even think I'm gonna move it. The only thing I may do eventually is try lifting it a bit, just to see. I don't know. No reason really. Only a small amount of spray. Tiniest bit of a rooster tail coming off the back of that, so it's not like it's causing drag. And lifting the motor, I did not gain speed actually, and that's probably because this is not really a purpose-made surfacing prop. I think it just tolerates it pretty well. You can see it's got a good amount of cup to it. It's a Solas HR Titan 4, and that is a 10 by 12 pitch. So it works great. I mean, you can't even do anything remotely like this with like a stock regular prop. So I'm super happy with such a cheap propeller. It's actually awesome. So initially I bought this as a template, and I was going to then just modify it. I was going to cup it even more, maybe trim it, but it doesn't need anything. So I'm just running it. But I'm eventually going to hack this one up and probably turn it into some sort of a cleaver. And I do also I have another prop in the boat that I just keep. It's identical to that one actually, it's just newer. But that is just a worst case scenario prop. So I'm going to leave that one as is. But I could probably get some more speed out of the setup, but that's not really what I'm going for. I'm going for, number one, hole shot, getting up on plane super quick. I love the torque that this can put down in the water. And then once I'm up, I don't really want to go too fast. I'm not looking for that kind of a boat. So it's just to get the motor up out of harm's way to clear logs. In muddy water, you can basically see the ripples of anything that's like within 6 inches of the surface, or even a foot. You can start seeing things, but a stock boat where this is all the way down here, when you're, it's all the way down below. I mean, the cap plate would be level basically with the hole. There's so much hanging down and you can't always see that. So I would hit things fairly frequently. I still occasionally do, but it's actually been a little while now. So think that's everything that I did want to cover. I'll have put in a video of it priming at idle. Once it's primed, it will run. I can actually trim the motor all the way up, and then I walk to the front of the boat. I put a short up with that as well, and the water comes all the way down to like here, and it's still pumping water. So once you get the air out of the top of the bend of the hose, you'll see like it spits and then it goes full stream, and you can tell once you clear out the air, and it will remain primed then. It doesn't matter. It can just tip the whole motor up out of the water actually, and it will stay. So really cool. That was my biggest fear, and I'm super happy that it was unfounded. So other than that, the other thing I was going to bring up in this video is this foil, or better called a compression plate, or cavitation plate. Some people call it that. I think they call them compression plates, but I think that's only if it's on a tunnel hole. So, and that's because you're like grabbing the water coming out of the tunnel, but it does really well even on a flat bottom like this, and I'm really happy with it. It is made with fiberglass, bunch of layers. I think I was up to 14 of the 8-ounce cloth, which is this thinner stuff. I brought this out just to show it. This thin stuff, and then I have 2 layers of 18-ounce cloth in there, and it's about a 1/4 inch thick, and from this angle it looks deceiving. It actually looks like it's tapered in that way, but it's not. It is actually the opposite. So you can see from this angle it's just the weird effect of the video, but that's kind of, I shaped it. This was try 1. This worked great. I didn't know originally I made it so it could mount on top of the motor, and I had to clear this big cutout here. This one doesn't have that because I mounted it on the bottom, and originally I wasn't sure will a foil on the bottom work or not, so I wanted this one to be able to do both. It works great. That was my mold. You can basically see what I did. Just sheet metal mold, bent it. The wood is just to keep it flat, and you can see where the original one is the metal, and then the new one had tape on it just to block off that so the fiberglass didn't sink in. So that's all the details I think I have on this setup. I think I have covered everything kind of that I wish I would have had in a concise video. You know, I couldn't even find some of this stuff on forums, and I did spend quite a bit of time searching for pictures, any video clips, evidence, to see if somebody has done this before, and I'm sure people have. I just don't think it's out there very easily accessible. So hopefully this helps. I think these motors, and obviously these motors are at an age where people aren't too worried to hack them up now, but it's going to only become more, I think, with, you know, the way prices and things are going on like new outboards. So I think more people are going to be comfortable to drill into their motor or their lower unit and you know, make something like this go. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll always happy to talk about this kind of stuff with anyone. And then I'll go ahead and turn it on. Takes a second just for the water to make it all the way up and fill the head, but primes itself no problem. No electric pump or anything. That's just the stock impeller. So now I'm going to clamp this. I'll raise the motor all the way up. And then I'm going to go ahead and clamp this on, and I'm going to walk up to the front of the boat so that you get to see how high you can run one of these out of the water and maintain